This week's episode of Dude Soup is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your online privacy today at expressvpn.com/RTTV.
The Xbox Series X games event is right around the corner, but can they edge out everyone's interest in Sony? If they announce Bugsnax 2, then the answer is almost certainly yes. All this and more on this week's bowl of Dude Soup.
Talking Bugsnax.
Bugsnax, I don't know if we can. There's nothing to say yet.
And so much.
And yet, so
Same
much
time.
to say. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dude Soup. Thank you for joining us. I really quick want to take an opportunity to thank everyone watching on roosterteeth.com. Whether or not you're an RT First member, thank you for your support. Or whether you're just a member, you can make an account and join us in the chat. We appreciate you guys supporting us and enjoying the stream. It's super, super fun to be able to do this for you. As you already know, I am joined by one of my guests this week, Elise Willems.
Thanks for having me. This was a coveted episode to try to be on because a lot of people wanted to be in this one.
Yep.
So thank you for having me.
Well, we have two additional guests this week that I'm very excited. One we're having back for the second time, and one we're having for the first time. Super excited to have both of them here. Parris Lilly and Danny Peña.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invite.
Having us.
Thanks
Yes. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely. We had Parris on a couple weeks ago. It was a super fun. We were talking about Destiny and all kinds of things, and we were like, Parris, you need to come back.
Yeah, everyone loved Parris on the show except for one person.
Yeah, there was one person
on Twitter,
on social media who said, why would you have him on? And I think it was Godfrey, I think
it
was the
like
account.
a Manny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy. At least Parris had only one bad review. That's good. That's good enough for me, man.
Yeah. No,
Hey,
but we also have
I am the
Danny
Morbius
on-
champion, okay? That is my
Yeah,
claim
that's
to
true.
fame.
That's true. You set the bar very, very high.
Will he be unseated today? We don't know.
Yeah, if you were joined us for the episode that Parris was on, we mentioned some of the things he's worked on, Gamertag Radio being one of them. Well, Danny is he's also a co-host of Gamertag Radio, but he is the founder of Gamertag Radio. So all those stories that we were talking about before, you're the reason that it all began.
You made
started,
Parris,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm your father, Parris.
But you know what, though?
I am like twisting the knife.
Being serious for half a second, it's true. It's true. I'm not doing any of this if it wasn't for Danny. And I appreciate him so much because of that. I'll forever be thankful. And that is the last time I will say anything nice about him on the wrestling show.
Yeah, okay, enough of that. Let's get back to you guys, your wrestling rivalry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Danny founded Gamertag Radio how long ago now?
It's 15 years, but I started internet radio like around 2001. It was during the Sega Dreamcast days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. But I always wanted to do internet radio since the 90s because there was a hip hop show. I'm a hip hop guy, of course. But there was a hip hop show from this company called Pseudo. It was like around mid 90s that they launched. And I remember watching at my friend's house using his computer. There was a lot of artists that I liked from the hip hop scene. They were doing interviews. I'm like, oh man, this is pretty cool. I could watch interviews and listen to radio shows online instead of the radio because I used to experiment with that locally in Miami. And I was like, man, I want to do that, the internet radio show. And we tried. It was so expensive in the 90s. We had to use a 56K modem to stream and watch those shows. And then it was like around early 2000s, right after the launch of Sega Dreamcast, that's when I started experimenting with that. And yeah, the rest is history, man. You know, I started with that and Gamertag Radio in 2005.
And your podcasting like predated podcast platforms.
Yeah. There was no social media, no smartphones. And the way how I used to get listeners was just word of mouth. I'll go to like community websites like PSO World. That was one that was pretty big back then for Fanny Star Online. And I started just promoting it through there and also Team Xbox. Because back then, the thing that we used to use to communicate with each other, with our community, was message boards, forums. And that's how we got the word out. And that's how Parris actually discovered Gamertag Radio.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, he said it was spamming, but I wasn't spamming.
It was 100% spamming. So I used to be on the Team Xbox forums all the time. This is like 2005 era. And like you said, iTunes. Podcasting wasn't really invented back then. And there were 3 different quote unquote gaming shows I would listen to. And Danny would spam the forums, I swear to God, every day about come listen to a show, come listen to a show. So then finally one day I decided to listen. I'm like, oh, this is cool. They're talking about Xbox and all the stuff that's going on. And then he got a major scoop when the 360 came out. He got the people that were at the Hollywood event on the show. And I remember listening to it like as soon as he put it out. I was like, this is amazing. I subscribed to it and I was a fan, and he inspired me from there to actually want to become a podcaster into gaming myself. And the rest is history, I guess you could say.
Yeah, for sure. We right before we were starting, we were kind of like figuring out technical things, right? And like, oh, can we record our audio and making sure stuff like that. Everything went perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. There were no problems. But one of the interesting things, Danny, is you were saying that all of this is still easier than when you had to try and record audio over Xbox Live using Xbox Live voice chat as your method of recording.
Well, actually, I'm going to take even before that, because I used to record everything on cassette. And that's how I used to edit everything. And then from there, I had to like convert in real time, connect my radio to the computer and press play, and then record that audio from there. And I didn't have a broadband back then. So I had to upload my audio through a 56K modem. So I was like, I wish nobody calls, because once you calls, it disconnects everything. So I had to restart uploading. So that's how I used to do everything back then, man. But here's the thing, like I didn't have a lot of resources to edit and record stuff, right? But I only had very limited resources, and it forced me to be more creative with the stuff that I recorded back then.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy. Like trying to make a mixtape on a cassette was a challenge. Not to get the songs to overlap. Like I can't even imagine making a podcast with a cassette.
I mean, it worked out because like you're still doing it. Like the internet has such. It's weird. It has such a short memory, but it like obviously things exist forever. But you know, when you think about all the people that this medium kind of churns through, like you're still doing it. Both of you guys are still doing it and doing it well.
And you guys are so deep in the industry too. 'Cause I feel like I don't think that we're too industry deep.
I don't think so.
We're kind of like entertainment side. I feel like comedy side, and we just sort of dance around the industry a little bit. But you guys, watching your documentary, the story of Gamertag Radio, everybody knows you guys. Like everyone knows you. Everyone has history with you. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know what? Like especially that there's so many content creators now using Twitch and YouTube and new podcasters. And I even mentioned this to Parris, because the way when Parris discovered us on my show, he hit me up and he wanted to start his own show. And one of the first things I mentioned to him, even though it took me like a couple of weeks to reply to Parris, I told Parris, like, get out of your house, because the most important thing that I learned since I've been doing this for 15 years is the relationship that you build throughout the years. Networking, get out of your house, show people that you have different talents, tell them about your content. But if you just stay home and stream, I feel like it's not enough. And there's nothing more powerful than meeting people face to face. I mean, right now we're in a different situation, because of COVID and everything, but it worked so much for me, man. Like I met so many people, and even when you do interviews in person, it feels different than online. You know what I'm saying? So in Parris, you probably agree with the same thing, right? With that?
No, 100%. And I'll even jump into kind of the story of what inspired me to do this. So now we're in 2006. I see him and another good friend of ours, Chris Palladino. He also did a podcast back then, a gaming podcast. They're at Redmond up in Seattle at a Lord of the Rings event. And this is 2006. This is happening. I'm watching this and they're going, wait, holy shit. You can go to Microsoft. You can go to Xbox. Like I couldn't believe it. Right. So I said to myself, hey, I want to do this too. I emailed Chris, who got back to me the next day, by the way. Danny got back to me 3 weeks later, and they gave me tips. They were talking about, here's the kind of equipment you need to use. Here's how you can record, all this stuff to start my own podcast. And then a couple months later, I started my own podcast, and Danny was just always a great friend. We would go meet at E3, other gaming events. We'd help each other with coverage, things like that. But he always gave me that advice that you got to get out of your house. And actually, I like to call it shaking hands and kissing babies. You got to get out there and actually meet the people, because if you're not putting that face to name, how are people supposed to know who you are? And that was advice he gave me 14 years ago, and it still applies today, because sitting at home and just doing your podcast, which is great, your friends, your mom listens, that's all good. But if you're trying to actually grow your audience, you need to actually go out there and meet the people that can make that stuff happen. So I would say that to anyone that's trying to get into this now. When COVID is over, make sure you try and hit Comic-Con, hit PAX, go to E3 if you can, Gamescom, RTX, whatever, try to go to everything that you possibly can and actually put that face to a name.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
hey, James, very quick, I have to mention this too. So when I used to live in Miami, right now I'm in New York, but back in those days, I used to print out flyers, and I will go to different stores locally in Miami. So I'll go like Best Buy, GameStop, Target, Walmart. Every time there's like a new game coming out at midnight, and there's like a bunch of gamers, let's say, waiting for Halo, Grand Theft Auto, those big games, right? I'll go there and pass out flyers, and now I will never mention the word podcast to them. I will mention, hey, I have a internet radio show. Make sure to tune in. Because at that time, people used to listen to our show just through the computer, no tablet, no smartphones, none of that. So I started doing that, and I also interviewed gamers in line, real time, like, hey, tell me why you're in line to buy this game. And they'll tell me they're super excited. And because of that, I'll post it on the show, and they'll tell their friends and their family, hey, website interview me. And just that's how the word got around about our show.
So let me tell this story, because we're taking it way back, for the young people, back into the 2000s. 2007, I got a chance to go up to Redmond for, it was Halo 3 launch. So I got to go up there, met Bungie, the whole thing. And the night they did the launch, they did it at a Best Buy up there in Redmond. Bill Gates was there. I remember Warren Moon was there, stuff like that. There's all these fans out. Bungie drives up in the buses. Everyone's going crazy. This guy is literally he's calling us where we're at the event. Hey, I'm doing my live coverage worldwide. I need you to tell me what's going on there. Like, this is how motivated Danny has always been, because the first time I ever got to go up to Xbox, they all knew him. Everyone knows him. Oh, Danny Peña. Oh, we know him. Godfrey. Everybody knows him. I go to any event, he knows him. I'm at CES this year, the last time before COVID I could actually go outside, and I'm at the suite at this event, and the guy walks up to me, and I say, excuse me, I said Gamertag Radio, and he goes, oh, Danny Peña, I know him. I met him 10 years ago at blah, 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 blah. And I'm telling Danny, he's like, I have no idea who that is. But I really don't. The point is, that's, like he's saying, you're getting out there, you're meeting people, and you make that lasting impression, whether you realize it or not. That's just the lessons learned I've always taken from this guy.
Am I correct in thinking that there's a picture of Danny with Bill Gates?
I was reading the story.
Yeah. So that was the launch of the original Xbox in New York City. It was at Toys R Us. So the way how that happened was, this was like 2 months after 9/11. I went to an event. There was Xbox 1 week, and the week after that was Nintendo GameCube. They were promoting those games. They had like hands-on events. So the Xbox one, they had a tournament. So whoever gets like the most points within 48 hours will get like a free trip to Cancun, get a car, free Xbox, even a year of free Taco Bell quesadillas, right? So I was there with my video camera, and I was just recording the gamers that were there. I even went up to the Xbox team and interview them. And I stayed there for 48 hours. Then at the end, they surprised everybody with a free Xbox. So I took it home. And with no games. I had to wait till they sent me the games. But one of them was like Project Gotham, Halo, everything. So I had the game and the system early. Microsoft contacted me and said, hey, Danny, can you come to our launch event? We're doing it with WWF at that time. It was WWE. The Rock was hosting it too. And I had to go to Toys R Us to meet with them. And Microsoft had to get permission from the city of New York to open Toys R Us because it was still under construction. It wasn't open. So I got there, and they were like, Danny, we want you to play video games with Bill Gates. I want you to give like feedback about the console, let the media know about it and everything. I was like, I was not prepared for that. I was just like, look, I just went to the event to record, and that's it. But I had my tape recorder because I tried to interview Bill Gates. And a lot of people don't know about this, but I started doing that because ABC, New York Times, all the major media were interviewing him. And I'm there with my little tape recorder like this, like we're also recording. And PR saw that and they're like, Danny, no. So they grabbed my recorder, took the tape away, and gave me the recorder back. I'm like, oh, that would have been classic. He was answering my questions too, Bill Gates. That would have been a classic, but it's all good.
Crazy thing is that I guarantee there's an entire generation of current Xbox gamers that do not associate it with Bill Gates at all.
At all.
The way that you guys talk about your early hustle and the work ethic is it. I don't want to say I do think that there are a ton of people in this industry that hustle and work hard, but it's almost like a lost art. Just the way that you talk about going to your first E3 and you're like, I had $20 in my pocket. I was eating off the dollar menu at McDonald's, which to me sounds like a pretty good E3. That's my daily palate anyway. But just like it's almost like you had this passion, you knew what your dreams and your determination was, and like I'm not a risk taker, so I gotta give you like kudos because I don't know that I have it. I don't have that soul to be like I'm gonna do whatever it takes to do it.
There's such a fine line between like being passionate about something and like wanting it to be your hobby. So loving games, talking about games. You could just reach into almost any crowd and find at least 10 people that sure they could talk and they like games, right? It's the difference when you have that entrepreneurial spirit. And I'm not gonna like Elisa's saying, I don't think that, take your average YouTuber, they're absent of that, or Twitch streamer or whatever, but it does seem like some of the perception is that, oh, these are job paths that have been pursued out of convenience. I just want to play games for a living or whatever, when that's really not the case. I think the reason you have people that are successful like the two of you is because you treat it like a business. It's an activity. And like you're saying, it's boots on the ground. It's getting out there. It's making sacrifices in other things that you may be interested in. So that way you can pursue this career. And I think that work ethic and those things that you guys have accomplished are like, it's a testament.
It's rare.
All those people that like the social aspect is very true of meeting people. Internet is just a tool for socialization. It shouldn't be your only socialization. Agreed. But I think the reason that you have all these stories and all these people that know you is because you go out and you meet them face to face. You share that passion, but you also show that passion isn't the only motivator. You want to accomplish something for yourself and also for your industry. And I think that's not that that's rare. But I think in this particular interview, you guys are here and you guys are shining examples, both of you, of doing that sort of thing. And I think that's really, really cool.
Oh, I really appreciate you saying that. And I always defer to Danny when it comes to that because I literally learned all this stuff from him. But we have 10 million stories, but one I want to bring up, which I think is a perfect example of this. And this is Danny. So we're at E3 2007. This is the Santa Monica E3 at the hotels, and everything was insane that year. So at the Viceroy's where Xbox was, and they would throw parties every night. They had like a Windows party, and remember they had like a big community party one night, all this stuff. So we would go to these parties every night, and we're talking everyone from the industry, all the high up Xbox execs, they're all there. We're all there to have fun. Like they got games you can play, all this stuff. So you're there to relax, have a drink, socialize, all that. I am trying to partake in said activities. All right. I look over, Danny has microphone. He got the freaking Xbox Live Vision camera. I look over, he's got Shane Kim and Cliff Blazinski and Peter Moore. He's like literally working at night and he's interviewing all these people and he's doing all that stuff. And there's pictures. We have pictures. We'll have to put them online because you'll see me angrily in the background when he's talking to Cliff Blazinski. But
he was.
but the point of that is that was Danny's passion. That was how he had fun, that he loved doing that. And it was sincere. It wasn't a thing of, it was just this fake enthusiasm. He genuinely loved doing stuff like that. And he's always been that way. I always call him the hardest working person in the industry because he is. Whatever the hustle is, he's going to figure it out and he's going to do it. And I'm telling you that 2007 Santa Monica just encapsulated everything for me. We're all drinking, getting drunk and having fun. And he's over there. So Shane Kim, tell me about the 360 and how that's going to work. And
your
his
first
Halo
party
3
games,
coming.
yeah.
Yeah. Just hilarious stuff.
But you know what? Like, because I've been doing that for so many times in the past, like everybody remembers me, man. So, just last year, I hit up Peter Moore. He retired from the gaming industry a couple of years ago. Now he's the CEO of Liverpool soccer team over there in the UK. So I hit him up and I asked him, hey, I would love to have you on our show to talk about the 20th anniversary of Sega Dreamcast, because that system was like, to me, is one of my favorite consoles ever back then.
Man of taste. Man of taste.
And he said it straight up. He was like, Danny, let's do it. Like, it wasn't a yes or no. It was like right away he said yes. And we had a 40-minute conversation, behind the scenes stories that nobody heard before of the launch of Sega Dreamcast and stuff that worked out, some stuff that didn't work out. And it's because of that relationship that we build throughout the years with so many people that they trust us, so they will be more open to tell us more stuff that a lot of people don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to have that relationship with people, man. Like, there was one year, this is like before we started even streaming, EA invited us to go to to Timefall. Remember that, Parris? Timefall event?
Yes.
Hands on.
Dinosaurs.
We were the only podcasters there. It was all YouTubers, Twitch streamers. So Parris looked at me, I looked at Parris, and I was like, yo, I feel like we're old school. And Parris go, yeah, we're dinosaurs, man. We're dinosaurs. Nobody's doing this podcasting anymore. I'm like, oh, man. But here's what happened. So we sat down with Vince Appella and who else? Abby. It was
Abby.
At that time, we had a couple people that worked on that game on the first Timefall. And they were so open with us, man, like during the interview, that I felt it was like, they even said it too, that was like their best interviews ever compared to like everybody else, because we were not trying to do clickbait. It was just a normal conversation. And they felt comfortable to tell us a lot more things, you know?
Yeah.
So,
it's pretty remarkable. I mean, I just want to say one last thing. I still want to talk about Xbox. There's Xbox excitement.
Oh, duh. That's right. Yes. I forgot about that.
But before we memory lane is awesome. But I just want to talk about, like, in terms of you've accomplished so much already. Like, what else? Like, going forward, I can't imagine that drive is stopping. I mean, just in terms of talking with you, setting up this interview and stuff like that. Like, I know it hasn't stopped. So, like, are there things, like, kind of for both of you, like goals that you've set for yourself that you want to do in the next, 5-10 years or something like that in this industry or beyond?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mentioned this earlier this year because we had Phil Spencer on our show back in February for our 1000 episode. But there's two people that I always want to have him on our show. One is Bill Gates, which I've been trying for a couple of years now. And the other one is Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I mentioned it on Twitter, and he's like, Danny, let's make it happen. I was like, oh, snap, this is really going to happen.
Yeah.
So we've been talking, so hopefully in the future, we're going to have him on the show. But one of the things that I want to do is also give back, and that's one thing that I always been doing since day one. I gave advice to Parris to launch his old podcast, but I always sit down with people that I see like potential, and I see them like they're super talented on creating content too. And I want to give back. I've been speaking a lot at high schools and middle schools and colleges, just like, because I want the next generation to take over too, and I want them to be better than me and better than Parris, creating content, man. So that's one thing I really want to do. Like, I went to last year to Dominican Republic, and I was there speaking for a conference to content creators and also game developers, and I gave them a brief history about me, and that's what I'm going to do, more of that, just giving back.
That's
awesome.
It happens, and like the way that everyone talks about you in your documentary is for sure, and then also like me talking with like Yamilia Avendano about you, and like I'll get emotional because I love her so much. but like the way she talks about you and when she was really young and nobody took her seriously, I can't even, because I love her.
Yeah.
The way that nobody took her seriously.
I love her. I love her so much.
I love her too.
Yeah.
Like,
we love you, Yami.
The way that she talks about how you actually like took her seriously when no one else did. Like that alone, you influenced an amazing person. So that
yeah.
And that influence trickles out too, like, because I mean, like, it clearly has an effect on you. I know she has an influence on me, and I know she influences a whole generation of other people too.
I influence her a little. I don't want to. I mean, it's two-way street. It's two-way street.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's important to me because when I was growing up, I didn't have a lot of people from the gaming industry that giving me advice. I think it happened after I launched GTR, like a year or two, and one of them was Dan Shu. There's a couple other people that gave me advice to like things to do. But I want to give that. I want to give that back, man, because I know the struggle that it was hard for me back then. You know, like when Parris hit me up, it took me a while, but I hit him up, and it was a struggle for him too. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we have to be there for each other, man. You know, and right now Parris is. I'm super proud of Parris because right now he is like making he is creating a huge buzz because of Cyberpunk and that. But that's his passion of like, when you listen to Parris talking about Cyberpunk, hopefully we're going to talk about that later. I feel like it's different than everybody else, man. It's a different type of passion, So I want him to inspire and get other people excited about games because we're missing that. Sometimes I go to events and there's been journalists that they've been doing this for so long, but I feel like the passion is not the same. It's like I want us to be excited. I'm tired of like negativity that's been going on. We got to give back, man, and get people excited about gaming again. So
for sure,
that to me is important. So
yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
Parris, you got any of those Cyberpunk views?
Say anything?
Well, I actually, and I know we'll go more in depth with Cyberpunk, but that's when you ask that question, I guess that's how I'm kind of looking at the next few years for me. What is it that I'm trying to do? So, I've started, my YouTube channel. I mean, we still do Gamertag Radio and everything that we do, but on the side, I've started my YouTube channel, and it's more of a passion project where I'm not trying to cover any and everything. I'm talking about specific things that I love and things that I like to do. So Cyberpunk obviously has been one of them, and just the reception that I've had over that the past few weeks it's been incredible. Like nothing I ever could have imagined has come of that over the past few weeks. And I even owe that to Danny, because it was Danny who 2 years ago had that idea as I'm coming out of that E3 demo to record my reaction. And then it just went from there. But the point I'm trying to make on that is I want to focus more on I want to challenge myself with the YouTube stuff. I want to challenge myself being in front of the camera. I have, I guess, to be serious for a second, I struggle with social anxiety a lot. Like, you probably would not believe this at all, but I really do. I'm a very shy person when it comes into public spaces. And the reason is I always feel like, I know I'm a big dude. I feel like I'm this big dude that's coming into your space and I don't want to bother you. Like that is like absolute terrifies me that I'm going to bother people. Right. So I've really worked on that. And then people say, hey, you have this great voice and you have a great way you talk and do all that. And I'm always so shy about it and don't want to accept it. And I've really, in the last year, tried to, okay, you're telling me I'm good at this. Well, then F it. I'm going to do it. So let's screw your fears, just go do it and see what happens. So for me, the next challenge here over the next few years is obviously in the short term, it's going to be trying to cover Cyberpunk and doing stuff like that. Halo is going to be another big one for me. I'm a huge Destiny fan, as you guys know. So it's just, I'm not trying to focus on everything. That's what Gamertag Radio is for. We talk about everything in gaming, but my own personal challenge is, let's see how far I can take this YouTube thing. Let's see what kind of unique content I can create out of it and just go from there. But I will say this a million times. It always goes back to that dude, because I'm not doing any of this if it wasn't for him.
It's awesome. That's super cool. I really hope that people that are listening, like, I almost certain they will be, but like, that understand like that passion is the heart of where things come from. And then after that comes the work. but then it's really about just like sharing that infectious joy that you have for something in a lot of cases. I would love to have you guys. Number one, I'd love to have you guys back on some other time because I feel like you guys have so many stories, and every single time I'm just. It was supposed to be an interview kind of thing. And
we haven't even talked about how we snuck in the parties at E3. You would love those.
We have a lot of those.
Don't save it. We'll have you guys back. We'll have you guys back for sure to talk more about it. But I just want to.
Or people should just go listen to Gamertag.
I mean,
Radio.
there's that too.
Yeah,
We're
definitely
while you're listening now, gamertagradio.com on Spotify, iTunes, basically anywhere you can get a podcast. Right, so make sure to check that out for even more stories, and we're gonna make sure to have you guys coming back too. I just want to we're gonna talk about Xbox Series X event, which is coming up. But before that, I just want to take a moment so you can hear a word from our sponsor. This episode of Dude Soup is brought to you by Honey. We shop online every single day of our lives. Well, we might not buy everything every single day, but we certainly spend a lot of time on our phones or on our computers looking for things to buy, shopping, trying to find the best deals. But if you're going to shop online, you might as well do it the fastest and cheapest way that you can. That's going to be with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that saves you money online. Honey automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. It makes online shopping finally feel as easy as it's supposed to be. So imagine you're shopping at one of your favorite sites like Target or Sephora, Macy's, Etsy, Lululemon. Oh, gosh, I love Lululemon clothes, but the problem is sometimes they're way too expensive. I would say most times for me, they're way too expensive. So I always try and find the best deal I can. Now, sometimes that involves opening up a whole new tab, searching for coupon codes, digging around. This one doesn't work, that one doesn't work. But with Honey, when you check out, this little box drops down and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. Wait a few seconds, it'll scan for every single promo code on the internet and you just sit there and watch the prices drop. I know that I love using Honey when I buy gifts for people, when I buy gifts for myself. I don't want to spend more than I have to, and I shouldn't have to spend more than I have to. So for me, it's summertime, and if I am going to buy those Lululemon shorts, I don't want to pay a penny more than I have to. Honey has found its over 17 million members, over $2 billion in savings. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online, and they're adding more every single day. Users love Honey. That's why it has over 100,000 plus 5-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. So this is just my friendly reminder to you that not using Honey is literally passing up free money. It's free to use and installs in just a few seconds. Plus, it's now part of the PayPal family. So get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/dude. That's joinhoney.com/dude. So thank you so much to our sponsor. So speaking on passion and sharing that passion, I know that I'm excited for July 23rd because as much as not having an E3 this year kind of sucks, I am excited about the sprinkling. Like you get these spread out. It's like
into it.
It's like it's more like
there's the
Hanukkah and less like Christmas.
There's the UV event coming up too.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool.
So July 23rd is going to be the Xbox Series X event, which is going to be a live streamed, I assume, video package, a lot like Sony did for the PlayStation.
This time they promised it to be about the games.
It's promised to be about the games. It's about the next generation of projects from the Xbox Game Studio teams. Are there any things, stuff that we know we're going to see? Halo Infinite, right? Probably Hellblade 2.
Yeah, I think that's
there's certain things like that, but there's a lot of stuff that's kind of like floating out there. Are there things that what do you guys want to get from this event other than bug snacks?
For me, I would love to see, the new Fable game that supposedly Playground is working on. They're the developers of Forza Horizon, which is one of my favorite racing games ever. The series is amazing. But also Perfect Dark, that's something that I would love to see the return of that because I know everybody's talking about GoldenEye. Like, it's a classic. It's a game changer from the Nintendo 64. But I feel like the Rare learned from that and made that game even better when Perfect Dark came out for the 64. Now, the 360 version, I feel like it was very rushed and it was just not all that. But it was a very important IP. So why not bring that back? And Microsoft has a lot of IPs that could bring back from back then, So that's one of them. And also, I think this event is not only going to be first party, but we might see maybe some third party announcements from them that maybe like exclusive or time exclusive. That's possible too. So I've been mentioning this to Parris for a while too. Like, look, I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge Sega Dreamcast fan. I adore that not album, but that console. But I love like a game like Phantasy Star Online. Part 2 already came out. You could play that, on Xbox and PC. But there's one game that I feel like it just turned 20 years old a couple days ago is Jet Set Radio. That video game, it's iconic to me. Best soundtrack ever. Jet Set Radio Future came out for the original Xbox. That was an exclusive for that console. And after that, it was just silence. So I know Nintendo's been having a couple of exclusives, especially like Bayonetta, and they published that for their console. I see Microsoft and Sega doing that again with Jet Set Radio. I would love to see that in the future for that console for Series X. But there's other games, but I want Parris also to say
You know what I thought for sure you were going to say when you're talking about classic Dreamcast games? I thought you were going to say Blue Stinger.
That's a good. But you know what? Like I played a lot of Jet Set Radio, Choo Choo Rocket, Fanny Star,
Crazy Taxi and stuff.
Power Stone. Oh my God, amazing! There was a lot. It was a lot, and I remember my first gaming event that I ever went to was the launch of SegaNet, which when I went there, it was hands-on for NFL 2K1 online. Playable. I was like, oh my God, 4 players. This is amazing. Yeah. So yeah. Parris, do you have any predictions?
Okay, number one, stop telling me what to do. This is not your podcast. I can answer on my own. Thank you. No, I have to give a quick shout to our former co-host, Mandy, because she's not here, but she is tuning in live. And she wanted me to say Viva Pinata. So I am saying Viva Pinata. And I actually do agree with her. That was a game that was completely ahead of its time when it came out. And if you were to bring that back now in this social age, this more connected age that we're in, I think that game would do a lot better, especially when you look at something like Animal Crossing. I mean, Viva Pinata would be perfect for that. But there are 2 games. If you want to see me jump up and scream like a girl,
I really do.
First, and I hope it happens. First, you show Joanna Dark. It's been 15 years. We got to get Perfect Dark back. I really want to see that. But if you just want to see me get misty-eyed, please bring back Banjo-Kazooie as a platformer. Please, please, please. I would be so happy to see that. Those are, look, we know we're getting Fable, Forza, and all that kind of stuff. But I'll also say bringing Halo back into this, because I say it every time until I'm proven wrong. Halo Infinite is the most important game that Xbox has ever made, because not only does it have to revitalize the Halo franchise, it also has to be the flagship for the services that they're coming out with Xbox Play Anywhere, with Project X Cloud. It has to be the flagship for Game Pass. And it also has to be a system seller to push the new hardware that's coming out as well. There's so much responsibility that one game is going to have at launch that they've never had to do this in the 20-year history of Xbox, because they screwed up this generation. We all know that, but we've seen what they've been doing since 2016 to fix all that. You can literally see the build up to where we are right now. They have been building up to this moment that we're about to have in July, and Halo has to be the game that leads the way, because if Halo Infinite flops, I don't think it will, but let's just say it did. You won't have any confidence in anything else that you see the rest of that show. No one's going to care about Hellblade, Fable, Lockhart, ColecoVision 12, whatever they're planning on bringing out. You're not going to care, because Halo, the signature franchise for Xbox, there is no Xbox without Halo, isn't living up to the expectations. It's been 5 years since we had 5. Just everything. Look, I know it's a lot of pressure, and I'm sure shout out to anyone at 343 that might see this or hear this, but I know it's a lot of pressure, but it has to happen. It has to hit. It has to hit hard. And it has to be amazing.
Coming off of Sony's presentation, where it was just a plethora of games, and they've got these open world titles now that are, Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima. It's just like they're just these anchors. Like they have they have about 5 anchors in their platform, and for Halo Infinite to sort of have to be this one title with this weight on its shoulders that has to kind of lift up everything around it. I do think, like you were saying, that we're going to see a lot of, or Danny was saying that we're going to see a lot of third-party exclusives in this. I think coming off of their last presentation, Microsoft is thinking, oh, geez, we actually have to really highlight the games on this one. I don't think we're going to get like a price point in this one. I think we're still running late for price points, but I don't think we're going to get one yet. And that's just me personally. I still think that some of these like publishers and companies are still playing the economy. They just want to see how things are going to play out a little bit with the global pandemic and recession and stuff. So I think it's going to be like, here's a slate of games that's going to knock your socks off. Emphasizing the like the smart delivery system, because I think even if they show off Grand Theft Auto 5 or whatever, they're going to be pushing that smart delivery to be like, well, there's still tons of games that are going to be coming to you in a higher quality format. But yeah, I'm really curious because like I think Halo is going to be, they can make a really, really strong campaign, but they're still not going, they don't have games that can go up against these open world juggernauts. Like Sunset Overdrive was kind of that
I love that game.
Title.
Yeah.
But I don't know what other,
I love that game so much.
Well,
I just don't know what other juggernauts.
I hate that game.
So
I love that
like,
game. But you know what? So it's so important. That game is the reason why there's Spider-Man.
Yes,
Believe it or not.
agreed.
yeah,
I know.
Hands down.
I mean, yeah, that's another open world juggernaut that Sony's got in their
Yeah.
arsenal. And I look at Microsoft and I'm like, where did all these titles go?
Yeah, well,
Like-
that's a weird thing about modern Microsoft. I mean, there's a ton of stuff, and I honestly feel like I play more Xbox games than I probably because of its compatibility on PC
that's
and
it,
stuff
yeah,
like
for
that.
sure.
And I feel like when I play my PlayStation, it's more selective. It's like, boom, I'm gonna play Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, I'm
A
gonna play
title
Last
brought
of
you
Us.
to that
Yeah,
console.
boom, I'm
Yeah.
gonna play Final Fantasy. Right, like more than I'm just like I'm gonna get it on PlayStation. I know that I'm an outlier probably in that case, but it is weird how Microsoft, because you mentioned Jet Grind Radio, and I'm like, they kind of did make that game again called Sunset Overdrive, right?
They kind of did, yeah.
Like even when it came out, people were saying like, this is it's influenced, it's the closest thing we've gotten to something like that since. But then the game, it didn't resonate with people. And then the studio went on and made Spider-Man exclusively for PlayStation. And I feel like Microsoft must have been like, what the fuck? Like, why didn't people, Spider-Man exists because of this, but they didn't have that. And now Spider-Man is a thing for Sony, and it has such a great reputation. That game was amazing. So it's weird. Like Microsoft always has these really cool things that don't take shape right away. Sea of Thieves. I don't know how much you guys have played Sea of Thieves.
I enjoyed that game too. That was pretty good.
It's fun. When it first came out, it was like...
it's evolved in the past couple of years, yeah.
If they had released it what it is now and said this is the game, people would be like, holy shit, this is a pirate simulator. But I think... And I don't have the player counts in front of me, but I played a lot of it when it first came out. I was like, oh, this is fun, but I ran out of things to do and I stopped playing, right?
Yeah.
Which means I kind of stopped paying into the system, and then that's the end of it, right? But like, for whatever reason it is, it feels like Microsoft sees 5 years down the line, and they're like, we'll release it now, and then it'll be bigger then.
And that's the exact point. That's exactly what you're saying. They need to reinstill confidence in their audience that they can make these compelling games that are going to grab you from day one. So again, you bring up PlayStation. Look at God of War. Look at Spider-Man. Look at Uncharted. I mean, obviously The Last of Us just came out. You see these games that grab you emotionally as you play them. I can't tell you the last game I played from Xbox that I truly cared about. And I've been harping about this on Twitter lately, but Halo meant so much to me because of that relationship between Master Chief and Cortana. Like literally Halo 3 at the end, I damn near got a tear in my eye when Chief finally gets Cortana back, right? Because I cared about those characters. And I don't think Xbox, their in-house IPs have done that in a very long time. Like even Gears of War. I mean, yeah, Gears 4 and 5 were okay, but I'm sorry, I don't care about those characters. Whereas PlayStation and even Nintendo, you bring in a Zelda or something like that, I care what happens to those characters. And I think you establish right off the bat with Halo Infinite that we're getting back to the core of what made Halo great. The relationship between Chief and Cortana, obviously the multiplayer, all that looks amazing. Space slip, whatever the hell the engine's called, all that, right? But then you supplement that with a Fable, you supplement that with a Hellblade, you supplement that with a brand new IP. That's another thing. I want to see new IPs come from them in July, from this initiative studio or whoever.
Bring me things Scalebound.
Yeah. But show me things that get me excited to want to invest in the Xbox ecosystem. That's the challenge they have on the 23rd. And Parris, I hope they pull it off.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what you're saying is to kill off Kazooie. That's what you're saying. You're saying first 10 minutes of the game, you think it's a thing, and then all of a sudden, a gunshot off screen.
Bullet in the computer.
Banjo's like, thank God it missed. Looks back, hit Kazooie. Kazooie dies on the ground, and now we play a 35-hour single-player epic starring Banjo trying to replace what he's lost.
The title screen changes to Kazooie just falls off, and it's just called Banjo.
Yeah. It's a feather, and then it goes down.
Brutal.
That's what it is.
But you know what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
No, I was going to say very quick that, I know we were mentioning about the new consoles, but even if you decide not to buy the Series X later this year, you can still have your Xbox One X, your Xbox One S, or even the original Xbox, and I can still play Halo Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's just say that you even don't have those consoles with Project S Cloud. You could play that on your phone, on your tablet, and even on your Samsung TVs without the console. Yeah, and just stream it and start playing it. So. I think that's something we also got to talk about. It can't just be buying Xbox Series X, the consoles, and that's it. I think it's beyond more than that. You know what I'm saying? So
I was making the joke leading up to E3 before E3 was canceled that I was basically what's going to happen at the Xbox conference is that Phil Spencer was going to come out to reveal the box, right? He pulls the curtain off and it's got that box that we've seen and everyone claps for it and he goes like, but wait, there's one more thing. And then he lifts that up, throws it to the side, and it's just a thumb drive. Like it's like an HDMI thumb drive, and he's like, "This is the Series X," because they're doing, and it's like a joke, but and people flip out. They're like, "Oh my gosh!" Because they're like, all the technology is around you that makes the thing work, and that's obviously a silly little dream, a fantasy scenario. But I don't think we're too far off from that being the case. And I think if you compare PlayStation to Microsoft or Xbox, they're a lot closer to that kind of seamless relationship.
Well, is it the Lockhart that's going to be the disk driveless?
Allegedly,
yeah.
Allegedly.
I mean, the rumor is supposedly that console is going to be half the price of the Xbox One Series X. So, I mean, what was it, Parris, that we talked about? Was like the rumor was $199, $249.
See, you took it too far again. No one said $199. See,
rumors.
He literally thinks they're just going to give it away. He just thinks Phil Spencer's just going to be throwing discs when you get on the stage. That's not happening. Look, $300, $250. If we're lucky, $250.
$250. I mean, $250 ain't bad.
See, like when they first announced the disk driveless PS5, my first thought was like, okay, well that disk drive free one is going to be cheaper. But then I believe it was you that pointed out like, well, maybe it's going to have a larger hard drive. So
you're downloading, right?
The parity of price will be more equal in that respect. But
I don't know. I don't know what to. I mean, I'm excited. It's what we were talking about earlier. It's an excitement. I really love this kind of stuff. I as much as I hate to say it, because I like that opportunity to be around the people that you don't get to see all year during E3 because they're all in town for the same thing, participating in the same ways. It is really nice having this like sprinkling of excitement.
I like it.
I feel like we have to mention at least a couple more things. Number one, Double Fine.
Yes.
Double Fine.
Yes.
Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts is my favorite game of all time. Number one. Psychonauts 2, now with the potential, I have a Tim Schafer signed Psychonauts poster directly above me right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so Psychonauts 2 is my most anticipated game until it comes out. But and so I'm curious to see, because now it's it's a
It's an
Microsoft
exclusive, right? Because they own Double Fine.
I don't know. I think they
No.
said that because considering they did the Fig thing, it's still Psychonauts 2 is still going to be available on everything. But they have more resources now. So I hope you have more resources. You could put more of that effort into making a game that's even better. And so I'm hopeful that we're going to get to see some of that. It's kind of like what you're saying about these other, not necessarily third parties, but these other things that you don't necessarily associate with Microsoft really showing off during this whole thing. And then also the other thing, the rumors going around that Microsoft is trying to buy Warner Brothers Interactive, which I think that's a big thing too, because if we get into the situation where Sony has Spider-Man, but then Microsoft has Batman, like announcement of a new Batman game could be pretty sick.
Parris, I think you should mention what the conversation we were having yesterday, because what's wrong? I can't say that.
Called out. Oh, I want to hear this. I need this call out.
Because the thing is, I mentioned exactly the same thing that you just said right now, James. Right? I mentioned it to Parris, and Parris was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm like, and he explained to me why, and it makes sense. And I know there's other people too that mentioned the same exact thing, but I don't know if you want to mention that, Parris, at all.
Well, apparently I do now since you brought it up. No, my thing was, I understand Microsoft wanted to acquire the actual studio talent, like from Rocksteady and some of the other studios. But then I think from a AT&T Warner Brothers standpoint, would I really want Batman exclusive to just the Xbox platform, or would I still want it to be a multi-platform thing? Whereas I think now we're talking licensing deals. So it would probably cost Microsoft a very pretty penny, or they would have to do similar to what Major League Baseball is making PlayStation do. And you have to take the baseball game and put it on every platform. Maybe Batman, even though it's a quote unquote Xbox studio game, still has to show up on PlayStation and Nintendo.
Yeah,
look,
sure.
just a private conversation between two friends that got put out here for the world to hear. That's all.
Speaking of private conversation, we should also disclose that Rooster Teeth is a subsidiary of Warner Brothers. We don't know anything about what's going on, but just to make
I'll
sure.
I'll talk to Daddy Warner Bucks. Maybe we make it a timed exclusive. I don't know.
Well, there's also a world where you know they go, well, we have these resources and we can do it in house, and it can come out on PlayStation, but it's going to be like Games Pass, right? So like, you know, there's a world where if you control the costs, it's easier for you to figure out how to do the fun accounting to recoup those costs. And if they think that a Batman game exclusive, not without like a disc or anything, exclusive to Game Pass is going to get more people to sign up for more months that equate to more dollars than necessarily trying to sell the game in the first place. Maybe having that kind of control would be valuable, but I get that. That makes a lot of sense. I think you are in an interesting situation where you're dealing with the value of IPs that you don't own, but the studio that you want to work with has the relationship.
Right.
I think the Joker killing joked Kazooie.
Oh, and that's it's their own.
Parris is hurting right now.
Universe.
He's hurting.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
Kazooie.
we also got to mention Lego. That's a big franchise for Warner Brothers.
That's true.
Too. That's a huge franchise. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious to see. We are burning through this podcast. We're running out of time. I want to talk at least a little bit about Cyberpunk, and of course, we need to do my most important segment as well. So I'm very excited for Xbox. Any final thoughts from you guys? Like the last things you want to see or anything?
Well, if there's stuff that Xbox doesn't announce in July, then the big one also will be in August. They've done that in the past. I know one E3 didn't mention Tomb Raider, but it mentioned Tomb Raider during Gamescom, that announcement. So it's possible we might see that too. And August would be price, release date for the consoles, Lockhart and Series X.
Cool. Very cool. Parris, we're going to be hearing from you in Cyberpunk and your thoughts, kind of where you're feeling on Cyberpunk, and the rest of us are just going to sit and stare and quietly plan our revenge because you've gotten to play it as much as you have. But first, I want to let you guys hear a word from our sponsor. If your mailbox is anything like mine, it's 90% a depressing place with political flyers, utility bills, and a ton of coupons that I know I'll never be able to use. But once a month, I do actually have a reason to be excited about what's in my mailbox, and that's because of my Box of Awesome from Bespoke Post. I can tell you one of my favorite items that I've ever received from a Box of Awesome is a custom Japanese knife. It's one of the best tools I have in the kitchen. It's sharper than you could ever possibly imagine, so be very careful if you decide to pick one up. But it's great, and it's awesome, and I actually got a pretty great deal on it using Box of Awesome. Bespoke Post sends guys only the best stuff every month, and no matter what you're into, Box of Awesome has you covered. From style and grooming goods to barware, cooking tools, and outdoor gear, Box of Awesome has carefully built collections for every part of your lifestyle. To get started, take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right Box of Awesome for you. Plus, they release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Plus, each box costs only $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside. I was looking at one just the other week, and it was a bag that's a tote bag that transforms into a suit bag too. So if you're going to the gym, it works, but if you say you're going to a wedding, it works too. It's a super functional tote, and I think it's pretty sweet, and it's an amazing deal if you get it through Box of Awesome. So if you want to get some cool stuff for a great price, you're going to get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter code DUDE at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code DUDE for 20% off your first box. And we're back. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. Parris, Cyberpunk.
Yes. So
nice. What's that chair? What are you sitting on there?
Yeah. So I have from Secret Lab, I have the official Cyberpunk chair. I have the Titan version because I'm a big guy. Super awesome. Thank you to CD Projekt Red and Secret Labs for sending that to me. And then off anyone that's watching, I have my Cyberpunk backpack that I got yesterday, and I have my shirt that says I played it early. So that's all the swag talk. And I'll actually jump into talking about the game. It was incredible.
Like, I've been killing myself.
Yeah.
2 decades.
No, but I mean, first and foremost, I do want to thank CD Projekt Red for allowing me the opportunity to play the game early. Stephanie, I love you. And it was incredible. It was incredible. I got to play for almost 5 hours, and Night City is just an incredible place. Sure, there's still some bugs here or there, and I know people, have seen some of the preview stuff. Maybe they've seen my 41-minute preview for Cyberpunk 2077 on my YouTube channel. Shameless plug. But overall, I mean, it was great. I understand why they delayed it a couple months because there were some bugs while I played. Some things they still need to smooth out. Like I wasn't necessarily a fan of the driving. I wasn't necessarily a fan of the melee combat, but I had a dev with me the entire time I played, and we talked about this stuff while I played through it. So these are things that they're already talking about internally, and they're going to tweak. And even the bugs that I saw, it was mostly like clipping issues, nothing game breaking. But overall, just the city feels alive. You're like, I didn't have to do a mission or anything. My thing was, it was like, oh my God, I'm in Night City. I just wanted to walk around. I just wanted to soak in the atmosphere of everything that's going on. At one point, I'm just driving and I see a full-on gang versus the police shootout happen. And I'm talking with the dev, and I was like, do I engage? No, I do not. And I just kept going. I was like, this is not my business. But oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to, you have some of your footage up, and I was watching your playthrough, and this point at the beginning where you're like, get in the car, and then you're trying to steal a car, right? And then someone goes, what are you doing? They interrupt you during the process. And then it's like, do you floor it and just leave? Or do you kind of like continue that confrontation? And the thing that's so crazy about this game is the not knowing what the other path would go.
Right.
And did you get any more experience from that? Because like in this, the way it pans out in this, it's like, okay, well then you try and talk with them a little bit, but then the cops show up and then you're arrested and there's a whole thing. And it's like, part of me wants to see what would have happened if you had just floored it. I feel like that's going to be my whole vibe playing this game.
Well, that's the other awesome thing about this. So I basically got to redo everything that you see in that 48-minute demo from 2018, right? But none of it played out the same. I chose a corpo life path. So because I was a corpo, like when you meet with Meredith, the corpo agent, and she tries to give you that chip to give to the Maelstrom gang, because I was a corpo, I had a dialogue option and I already knew there was a virus on it. And I call her out on it. And then she realizes I know what's going on. She tries to alter the deal. I don't like the deal. I tell her to F off. She leaves. They completely leave. So I don't get to chip anything. So I have to then go into the Maelstrom gang without the chip. I have to try and negotiate a deal. It goes sideways. I wind up shooting Royce, the gang leader, in the head right then and there. We have a shootout right in the main part. We never have that mini boss battle. I wind up getting the flathead and leave, and it plays out completely differently. Even that beginning demo scene where you're extracting the person and Trauma Team shows up. So that played out differently. And Trauma Team, because I wouldn't back up, actually shocked the shit out of me and put me on the ground because I wouldn't back up. Just talking to Dexter Deshawn, even that plays out differently because I have different dialogue options. So it's not static the way that we've seen it the past couple of years. And the dev even told me with the Maelstrom Gang hideout, as an example, there's seven different scenarios on how that can play out versus what we've seen so far in the gameplay footage. I mean, trust me when I tell you, because I've seen a lot of people with some of the preview stuff, just, talking on Reddit and on social media, they're nitpicking. Well, there's not enough NPCs in the world. When you're playing, it's fine. Like, of course, there's not going to be a lot of NPCs at night because it's night. But during the day, it was completely fine. It feels alive. You're not having these nitpick complaints while you're actually playing. You're just going, holy shit, I'm in Night City. And it feels alive. It feels like a real world. You can tell that there's going to be so many different options and adventures that you're going to be able to have while you're in there. And there's going to be so many different replayability with it because you have the 3 different life paths. You have all these different dialogue choices. This person that you might make a deal with this time, you don't, and then they die, and then, or maybe they show up later. There's going to be so many different options. And I only played for 4.5, 5 hours, and I barely scratched the surface. That was just the prologue I played. That wasn't even the main part of the game that I played, and it was incredible. So anyone that's anticipating, let's put it this way. As much as I anticipated that game 2 years ago when I walked out of that demo, I anticipate it just as much now, if not more, after I got to play it. That's how good it is. So be excited for November because I think we're going to get something special.
Danny, like, obviously I feel like there's this like a base gamer interest in this game, right?
Yeah.
I know coming from me, like, I haven't played any other CD Projekt Red games. None. I didn't play Witcher or any of those games. I'm like lukewarm on Fallout, but this game, the way it looks, I'm like, okay, this still feels like something I'm interested in. How are you? Are you excited?
I'm
it's
super
hard to be
excited.
as excited as Parris, but
I'm super excited. And actually, like, I remember we got to see the game and we said to each other, look, we're not going to talk about it until we'll go to the hotel and actually record our impressions right there at that moment. But one thing I wanted to do was to capture Parris' first impressions, like once coming out from the presentation at E3, and the first one went viral. The second time, I got together the CD Projekt Red team for them to clap while Parris goes outside because they already knew about his excitement about the game and everything. So I know how important that game is to him, man. So I'm excited because I love The Witcher. I play that for the Xbox and also play the whole thing also for the Switch on the go. And it looks great. So I know that CD Projekt Red is really good when it comes to like story, main quests, and also side quests. One of the things that they mentioned too, they gave us a pamphlet during E3. During that pamphlet, it says that when you go to a building, every floor, there's multiple quests on each floor. And I was like, yo, you know how many hours I'm going to be playing, discovering new stuff? It depends on maybe the location you're at, the time of the day. Like, there's so many things you can do in this game. And that, to me, is important because games are expensive. We got to be super picky when we buy a game, right? So if I buy a game like Cyberpunk, I know I'm going to last more than a year, even 2 years, with just the content that's available in the game, repay value, expansion, DLCs, and who knows what else they're going to be adding in the game, man. So I think it's going to be a very important game, man, for this generation, man. More than The Witcher 3, I think.
So let me add this in because I know we're running out of time. So I haven't even gotten into the way the weapons are working, the perk, the skills, the side quests, any of that. That's literally another hour I could talk about that stuff. But one thing I think is very important that people understand is this is not Grand Theft Auto. This is not Call of Duty. This is not Destiny, anything like that. Yes, it is in a first-person view, but this is an RPG. And it took me a second to realize that when I started playing. But once I realized it, I go, wait, this is an RPG. This is more Fallout 3 than it is Call of Duty, if that makes sense, right? So if people need to go in expecting, and like you said, you haven't played The Witcher, which you absolutely need to do, is the best game of this generation, in my opinion, which is why was so excited about this one. But it is an open world RPG at its core, and all the system mechanics and everything that goes along with it being an RPG are in play when you're in this world. So if people can go in understanding that and not expecting this to be just some full on first person shooter, I mean, you'll immerse yourself in the world and it'll be incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super excited. It's hard not to look at a game like this, and even if it's not something you're into, which I don't know why you wouldn't be. Like, the world is so vibrant and cool and stuff like that. Thinking about, well, once this game is made, we've now pushed the bar into a whole new direction for the potential for games, and that's really exciting for me.
Yeah. Like you said, Parris, like, I don't think we even scratched the surface in terms of you talking about it. People should just go to your YouTube channel and see all the content that you're posting.
I talked for 41 minutes. I still can't believe that. I still can't believe I did that. And even that wasn't enough, to be honest with you. It's an incredible game.
And then one thing that I love about all the hands-on impressions I got to see and listen from other people that got to play the game is that everybody has their own different experience. It's not the same. That's amazing. Like, you know how much like conversation we could come up with just to sit down like, hey, Parris, have you discovered this? He's like, nah, I haven't, but have you discovered this? I'm like, what? So it's gonna be exciting once the game comes out, and everybody's gonna have like different stories of stuff that they managed to do or discovered in the game, man. It's gonna be cool.
I don't know how this game's gonna get reviewed. Honestly, like, I mean, everyone's gonna have to come to some sort of consensus, but like when the person at IGN plays through the game and has a completely different final experience after, say, 50, 60 hours than the person at GameSpot had, like, I mean, I guess there's a kind of a baseline comparative score you can come up with. I mean, scores I think are ridiculous for games in a lot of cases, but like, the vibe can be so different, like what you're talking about, having those experiences and experiencing them in different ways. It's just such a different way to think about having a conversation about games.
Agreed. Yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, as we get closer to it, I'm totally down to have you guys both back to keep talking about Cyberpunk hype. We don't have Lawrence here to fuel that hype train. I know we're all excited, but it just doesn't feel right. So we like having people with that burning desire that
Adam's super excited.
Everyone's excited. Everyone's excited, but there's excitement, and then there's I'm twitching because I can't get my hands on it kind of excitement. And I like talking with people who have that excitement. It's a lot of fun. So we'd love to have you guys back to talk more about Cyberpunk. We are going a little long, but that's okay because we need to do at least one last segment. Not the most important segment of this episode, because I feel like it's been a really great podcast, great discussion, but I would not be able to sleep tonight if we didn't do it. So we're going to do that segment right after this word from our final sponsor. I know it feels like everything in life is kind of up in the air and your routines are changing. The things that used to be super easy and you didn't even think about are now things that you have to leave a Post-it note for yourself to do, which is why your oral care is more important than ever. If your morning routine has changed, you want to make sure that brushing your teeth and taking care of your mouth is as easy as possible, and that's where Quip comes in. I can think of no better way of maintaining my dental care than by using Quip. Did you know that 75% of us use old, worn-out bristles that are ineffective, and even more people forget to floss daily? Well, good health starts with good habits, and Quip makes it easy by delivering all the oral care essentials you need to brush and floss better. The Quip electric toothbrush has timed sonic vibrations with 30-second pulses to guide a dentist-recommended 2-minute routine. There's even a sized-down version designed just for kids. Paired with Quip's anti-cavity toothpaste in mint or watermelon, you get all the ingredients teeth actually need and none that they don't. Quip also has eco-friendly refillable floss with a dispenser you keep for life and expanding string that helps clean in between your teeth. Quip brush heads, toothpaste, and floss refills are automatically delivered on a dentist-recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5 each. A friendly reminder when it's time for a refresh and to stay committed to your oral health Plus, shipping is free. So, join the over 3 million happy customers and practice good oral care easily and affordably with Quip, starting at $25. Here's the best part. If you go to getquip.com/dude right now, you will get your first refill free. That's your first refill free at getquip.com/dude. Spelled getquip.com/dude. Quip, the good habits company. And we're back. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. Okay, Parris, Danny, Elise,
Yes.
are you guys ready to mount up for Morbius?
Yes, and.
Let's
I
do
guess I
it.
got a yes, and.
Wait for it. You gotta wait for it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mount Up for Morbius. If you're not familiar, almost everyone is at this point. What episode?
Episode.
Yeah. They start calling them episodes. We are Mount Up for Morbius is an episode/segment where I build hype for an upcoming film. It was Cats for a long time, and then Cats came out, and I decided to be Morbius. Now, I explained this to Parris last time. I'll explain it to you now, Danny, and anyone who's listening for the first time.
Yeah.
That was when the movie was supposed to come out in March, and it was delayed until 2021. So now I've decided to just continue doing the segment until it comes out next year.
Disclaimer, disclosure, we are not getting paid for this and in no way are affiliated with the film Morbius.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Is this, are you doing it today because Jared Leto is apparently...
The Tron news?
Yeah, the Tron 3 news.
Well, I was not prepared for that, but that is something I was going to mention. Jared Leto is potentially attached. So Mount Up for Morbius is all things Morbius. We focus a little bit on the character, but that's something we're going to do today a little bit differently, is we're going to focus on Jared Leto, the man behind Morbius.
Okay.
And so I have created a trivia. It's now, again, I explained to Parris too. The trivia, you're not supposed to know the answer to these questions because Mount Up for Morbius and Countdown to Cats that preceded it was about learning, not about knowing. And sometimes the best way to learn is trial and error and through quizzes and stuff like that. So I made a quiz, but this quiz is not focused on Morbius. It's focused on Jared Leto. So let's see what the title of the quiz is. Getting to know Leto.
Oh,
which is now
like a pun or something.
It is. Well, it's got a cadence. And so Getting to Know Leto is a reoccurring segment that will start appearing within Mount Up for Morbius.
Okay.
So, all right. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Let's see the first question here. Okay. Leto got his first big break starring in what 90s teen drama?
I know this one.
I know this.
Teen drama.
I know this.
Do we all say our answer at once?
Some of them have multiple choice. This one does not have multiple choice. So
Can I answer or how does this go?
And I bet something that we know.
I think
You've
you
probably
definitely
heard of
do.
it. You've
You
probably heard
definitely
of it. Sounds like
90s.
Parris. Sounds like Parris knows. Sounds like Elise definitely knows.
We all have wisdom on
Danny
our side.
was,
we all have a little bit of age, a little bit of.
You guys can work together.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Quick question: was this
Yeah.
mid '90s, early '90s, late '90s?
Would it be mid to late 90s, right?
Mid.
Yeah. Well, maybe more.
Alongside Claire Danes
Claire Danes. Yeah.
in this mid to late 90s teen
Do you have
drama.
it, Parris? Do you know?
I think I do, but I don't want to sound like an idiot, so I'm not going to say it.
Was that on WB?
I think I know. God, it was Claire Danes.
I don't know what channel it was on.
I don't know. I don't think. I'm from Canada.
Oh, okay.
okay.
So I'll just go ahead and say it. I'll be the idiot. My so-called life.
My so-called life.
My so-called life. Let's check, see what the answer is. My so-called
all right.
life.
I didn't know if I was supposed to say it.
Yeah, it's we'll have some of them are multiple choice, so then everyone can kind of like drop an
Okay.
answer. This one's a little bit different.
Okay.
Great job, guys. My so-called life alongside
Good
Claire
job,
Danes.
man.
All right,
He was the hunk in that.
he was the hunk. Let's go to the next question.
He was the bad boy.
All right, Leto won an Oscar for his role in what film? This is multiple choice, so we can see the
I don't even need to
responses
see the
here. Let's
multiple
see.
choice.
All right. Option 1, Dallas Buyers Club. Option 2, Suicide Squad. Option 3, Requiem for a Dream.
I know it was not Suicide Squad. I
Because
know
he was
that for a
robbed.
fact.
Because he was robbed. You're right.
Yeah, that's what I think.
No,
that
it
was
was
the reason
that-
why he didn't get that part right from
It was
the Joker
Dallas
movie.
Buyers Club.
Yeah.
It was Dallas Buyers
Dallas
Buyers
Buyers
Club.
Club.
Dallas
Yeah.
Buyers Club. Dallas Buyers
Yeah.
Club. Let's see the answer.
Mhm.
Dallas Buyers Club. Dallas Buyers
All right.
Club. All right. Let's keep moving. I think there's only 5 questions. All right. Leto was one of the last people to find out about the coronavirus because he was meditating in the desert. This is true. How long had he been meditating? This is multiple choice,
Danny's
I believe.
face.
Yeah, it's weird.
Was it 5 days, 8 days, or 12 days that
12.
Jared Leto was meditating?
it was
I'm going.
8 or
I'm gonna go
12.
with 8. I'm gonna
12.
go with
8
8.
days. Danny says 8.
12.
Says 12. Elise, how many days?
It's definitely not 5.
No, it's too
Like,
short.
I feel like an 8 might even be too short. I mean, this is a man serious about his meditation. I think I'm gonna go 12.
12 days. Let's see the answer. 12 days, over a week. Well over a week. Almost
Wow.
2 weeks. Almost 2 weeks he was silently meditating in the desert. Completely missed what was happening in the world. All right. Okay. This is an interesting one, kind of a fashion question as well.
I know this one too.
Jared Leto attended the 2019
Why do I
Met
know all
Gala
these?
in a scarlet Gucci outfit. And with what odd accessory? This is not multiple choice.
I do know the answer,
This one I don't.
and
Let's
I
see.
wish I didn't.
I'll say, Danny, any idea what it could be? He's got a great sense of style.
Was there? You said accessory, so
Yeah.
was like a
what odd
cane?
accessory.
A cane type of cane? No,
A cane? I mean, that'd be an interesting
I'm-
accessory. You know, Met Gala,
diamond, all diamond cane. I mean, I don't
a
know.
diamond cane is interesting.
I'm totally
Parris,
guessing
any
that
thoughts? Parris, any thoughts?
No, I have no clue.
No,
this one.
no.
one. See, at least I guessed. At least I guessed.
Yeah.
It was with a replica of his own head.
Let's see if it was a
Ooh.
replica of his own head.
You might be right. I remember that just now.
It was
It was.
a
You're right. I
replica
totally forgot about that.
of his
Yeah.
Why? I wish
own
I didn't know that.
head.
Though.
That's
I wish
correct.
I didn't know.
All right.
I totally forgot about that.
That
we have one
that
more.
piece of information replaced an important piece of information in my brain.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, you only have so much space. All right. This is our final question. 30 Seconds to Mars is pretty ambitious as a band and a goal. Moving at the speed of light, how long would it actually take to reach Mars from Earth at the shortest distance? Now, that's because planets revolve around the sun.
Oh,
but
but we're
let's say
saying-
we optimize it for the best time to do it ever.
And it's
How
at
long
the
would it
speed of
take?
It's
light.
less than 90 days, so less than 3 months.
Oh, it's
Well,
way
but
it's
at the
way
speed
shorter
of-
than
at
that.
the- at the
Is there
speed-
multiple
Way shorter than
choice? Is there
We're gonna
multiple
do
choice?
speed of light, so there's multiple choice.
Oh,
Let's
there
do-
is?
let's
Oh,
do the
I'll
Okay.
get it if
All
I
right.
see it. I bet you.
All
I
right.
know.
Okay. Is it
Oh,
72 seconds to
It's
Mars?
182 seconds.
Heading to, yep,
182 seconds or 550 seconds to Mars?
too long.
At least.
182.
I just don't know. 70. Speed of light.
Parris very confident with the 182. Danny also confident with the 182.
It's probably 182. I'll just go 72.
At least 172 seconds to Mars.
Sure.
What's the correct answer? 182 seconds to Mars. Doesn't have quite the ring to it as 30 seconds to Mars does. But yeah, it takes a little over 3 minutes
Yeah.
at the shortest
Yeah.
point. I think on average it's closer to 700 and something seconds to Mars.
I know that because of Curiosity and how it communicates back from Mars with
Oh,
NASA
well, there
with the
you
whole
go.
stuff. That's when I'm a NASA nerd. So sorry.
Well, that wraps up Mount Up for Morbius this week. Again, it's not about knowing the answers necessarily. It's great. It's great that you
Can I
do.
tell you?
But-
You purport that this segment is about learning.
Mm-hmm.
Parris actually just taught us something that's a valuable piece of information, not your bullshit.
Well, but it's not
he's
about
got a
Morbius.
head
But it's not about Morbius, so I don't care about it. It's worthless here.
Yeah.
It's worthless here.
So let's roll that Mount Up for Morbius one more time. Let's say goodbye to that segment for. Okay, that brings us to the end of our show. I want to hugely thank you both, Danny and Parris, for coming on the show. amazing discussion, and I mean it very seriously when I say, like, please come back and I want to hear more stories. Just shooting the shit about games is awesome. If you guys want to talk about Jared Leto, we could do that too.
We have an amazing John DiMaggio story. That alone is worth coming back for.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Amazing.
That sounds perfect. We would love to have you guys back sooner than later. If you guys want to get more of Parris and Danny, which I can't imagine not wanting to after this podcast, Twitter, Danny is Godfrey at Godfrey. Parris is Vicious696. You can also check them out at gamertagradio.com, which you can find on Spotify, iTunes. You guys stream every single week on Twitch as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are there any upcoming things big planned for Gamertag Radio?
Or videos or content or anything?
Well, I know we're gonna have hands-on impressions of Watch Dogs Legions and the new Assassin's Creed. That's very soon, right, Parris? Like in a couple of days, I think, or next week, something like that. But we have that, and also we're excited about the Xbox Digital event. I'm excited about that. We're definitely gonna have a lot of content from there, and also a couple surprises after that, which we are not allowed to talk about that just
awesome.
yet.
I would throw in another one because it's public knowledge. Ghost of Tsushima. I'm reviewing that right now, so that will be on July 14th. That'll be out, so people can check that out too, and that'll be on Gamertag Radio, and I'll have a video review up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We love having you guys on.
Can I say one more thing?
No. Yeah, of course.
One more thing. Fuck you, Parris. I haven't said that all day, so
you guys, there's such antagonism, like playful antagonism leading up to this, and then basically the whole show was, I couldn't have done this without Danny. I couldn't have done this without Parris. I couldn't have done this without Danny.
Yeah, I had like popcorn prepared. I was like, this is going to be a good podcast.
Yeah. It was absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much for coming on. And please, if you guys are watching, listening, check them out. They are just super fun, entertaining, awesome guys with way more experience than we could ever possibly have. And thank you guys for watching. First members for supporting the show. Everyone watching live on RTTV. Thank you so much for everything. And thank you for watching Dude Soup. We'll see you next week.
Peace.